Yeah,
We're getting ready to do a sequel to it in January, probably in Florida too, probably in the same area.
Yeah, I've worked with Lynn a couple times. She went to an acting school that was just down the street, and yeah, I actually did an interview with Lynn. She was one of my first interviews when I started doing my independent interview series.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah,
I almost died in Tampa. It was so hot.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to. You have to live here a good 20, 30 years before you get used to it.
It wasn't hard to play being stressed there. Man, it was hot.
Yeah, there is no reprieve unless you are inside with AC. Because even just walking into a garage or just opening a door for a couple minutes, you just get hit with that humidity that just really kind of saps it out of you.
Oh yeah.
Getting back to the film we should be talking about before I accidentally set you down this different path.
Yes.
What was it like filming in the abandoned TV station? Did you feel apprehensive or anything like that about it?
It was dangerous. In fact, Jeff Broadstreet, the director, fell down the stairs. And there was something to do with the lights, or that it wasn't steady. And anyway, it really hurt his leg bad. So yeah, we had to be careful because they hadn't been used in a while. I think we were the last thing to do anything in it before it's been turned into apartments and been gutted. But it was great because there was these old sound stages, and there actually was a show called the Mr. Jolly Show that was done there. And it had been used for TV news, and there was old TV cameras there, and yeah, it was very atmospheric. Added some production quality.
Exactly how much was left in there since it had been abandoned?
Quite a bit. There were some old cameras. There were cables. There were lights hanging from the top. You know how when you see a grocery store and you look in the windows, sometimes there's stuff left in it. It was like that.
Wow. Did any of it happen to make its way to the prop department and reused?
Maybe so. I think the camera did. I'm pretty sure the camera did. The old TV camera. Yeah, but there's still. We were on the main soundstage, which had once been, the TV news and the kids shows, and.
When you're filming in a location like that that's somewhat dilapidated, what all goes into securing that so you can actually film there and be safe? What kind of precautions are taken?
Well, Mike, that depends on the budget, doesn't it?
Say you had a good budget.
So, well, then absolutely. Then you would have a PA who would escort you from the room you were in to set, and there would be things that were taped off with yellow tape, and et cetera, et cetera. But I've shot in a lot of old, semi-dilapidated buildings that aren't like that, and actually I enjoy it more when you can kind of explore. It's a little more dangerous, but it's kind of fun because in between takes you can just wander off.
Did you happen to find anything interesting if you, quote-unquote, wandered off in between takes?
Yeah, down in the basement. I think this used to be a green room, but it had the sort of plush carpeting that was like in the 70s, and these Johnny Carson chairs, and a couch which had just been ripped to shreds by something. I don't know what ripped it, rats or something. It was just like really shredded. So the whole thing looked like the green room for the Tonight Show if the zombie apocalypse had happened. And that was pretty darn cool.
Just a reanimated corpse of Ed McMahon just lounging there.
Kudos to you for the Ed McMahon reference. Yeah, a lot of people in your question was. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and the director gave me some leeway too because we were playing a kids show which supposedly had been on in the 60s and 70s. So I said, well, let me have gloves because he's a ventriloquist and all of the little puppets had gloves, and so let's make him like a giant puppet. And so we did that too, and I got to add some pieces to the costume. That's the great thing about indie film is you have some input.
Tell me something about that costume. It was very interesting. It was kind of almost it reminded me a little bit of Captain Kangaroo. So
thank you. I love Captain. I'm looking right now at a vintage Captain Kangaroo Mr. Moose puzzle. I ordered off eBay, and I got it sitting right at my desk. It inspires me. I love Captain Kangaroo. Yeah, the shirt, I killed 4 women in that shirt in a movie called The Devil Within in 2008, and they gave me the shirt, and I've always loved it. But where are you going to wear a red silk murder shirt? So I said, Jeff, I got this great shirt. And I had some boots from Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies because I had to, get on really high heels to be anywhere near Lincoln's height.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of it was theirs. I have the gloves and the little medallion that Mr. Jolly wore in my memorabilia shelf. So it was great. I wanted him to look like somebody who, if he walked into the outside world, people would say, what the hell is wrong with him? He only works and exists in his world, like Captain Kangaroo with his little carnation.
Mm-hmm. When you were
I'm big on uniforms, and we don't do that much anymore, Like in my day, all the kids show hosts, everybody had their uniform, and that was what they wore. And now we're more, just kind of casual, and everything's everything.
Yeah, like when you look at like the Wiggles, they basically are just wearing, sweaters and pants. There's nothing aside from the color combinations. There's nothing that really stands out as an individual character.
Right.
Like Fred Rogers. I mean, Fred Rogers is Fred Rogers because he has that look and that personality, and that just he could be wearing anything, and he would just illuminate that that's Fred Rogers because he had that kind of pull.
And you don't question why these characters look this way because this is their world and it's just the way they look.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that Mr. Jolly and my puppet was Handy Dandy, and we had an actual ventriloquist in a green suit who would operate the puppet, and then, they cut him out. But I decided that the relationship was that Handy Dandy, my little puppet, was really the adult, and he was kind of running the show, and my character was constantly getting his feelings hurt. And so we used this in the, we get the torture scene set up, and the kids have to play this game or they get body parts chopped off. And so the director let me improv a scene where the character doesn't want to play. He says, no, I'm not playing your stupid effing game. And so the director said, just go for it, Bill, do what you want to do. And so I just said, he doesn't want to play, Handy. And then so the guy doing Handy Dandy said, oh, yeah? I think I can get him to play. And then, Handy Dandy took over. And I said, oh, Handy, you always know just what to say to make me feel better. Oh, it was nothing, Mr. Jolly. So then I decided that maybe back in the day that had been Handy's trademark was, it was nothing, Mr. Jolly. So yeah, those type of things to add interest. I hope it was fun for people to sit around and watch and go, oh my God, this is fun.
When you have a dynamic like that, yeah, it's better than just being like that kind of one-way thing, or one being more overbearing than the other. You definitely need that kind of playing off of each other. But how difficult is that to play off basically an inanimate object as your other half?
I love inanimate objects, and I've worked so much with knives, and I've had many, many scenes in these 165 movies that I've done where it's just me on camera with some prop.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is about my eyes and my face and the prop. So I've really become very, very comfortable and happy. They're my favorite scene partners, inanimate objects. And the thing to do, you know what you do, Mike? Give the inanimate object the scene. I just gave Handy Dandy all the scenes I was in with him. I was like, Handy, it's your scene, man. If you do that, it's so weird because you seem subservient to a thing that's not really alive that it makes people's interest go up.
Mm-hmm. Because
so yeah, if I got a scene with a knife,
yeah,
right, yeah, it's all about the knife. It's the scene belongs to the knife, and the knife wants a latte, so I better go get its damn latte. It's not coming out of the trailer.
Speaking of that, what is your most favorite inanimate object that you use in a film?
God, my favorite unsuccessful one was a weed eater. So it was a movie called Ditch, which was released finally as Ditch Day Massacre. Ditch meaning we're going to cut school. I didn't know that, but that's what it means. So I'm after the girl who caused the death of my family years ago by drunk driving, and she's ditching school. So I'm the killer. but to kill it with a purpose. I'm the wrong dad. So anyway, my evil son and I, it was revealed later was my son, we strung up a policeman who's after us. And he's a really, like, badgering detective. So we're going to eviscerate him, and we were supposed to use a weed eater. So we had the dummy all set up, and we had the guts in the dummy for the tight shot. And we got the weed eater out. It was a great shot because my son would say, Dad, I think you'll be needing this. And he cranked up the little, the weed eater go, whoa! But the weed eater wouldn't cut through to get to the guts.
Really?
We did everything because it was too weak, just a little. It looked good in the script, but we could not, no matter how easy we made it for it, we couldn't get it to, like, slice it open. Huh. So one of the producers said, hell, I'm going to Home Depot and getting a chainsaw. And he did, came back, we used the chainsaw, gutted the dummy, cleaned up the chainsaw, and took it back.
It seems like something gets lost there when you go with the chainsaw other than a different kind of piece of yard equipment. It seems like
I know
a weed eater is something you rarely ever see get used, or a pole
which
saw.
Is why they wrote it. It was great. Practically we couldn't find a way to make it work. In that same movie, I fed Lynn Lowry's. I cut off her fingers and fed them to her tropical fish. And Lynn, the director said, "I'd like you to kiss Lynn after she's dead." And so I went in, and Lynn Lowry's having her makeup done. She's in the makeup chair. She's so just gorgeous person inside and out. And I said, Lynn, Joe wants me to French kiss you. So no, I said, Lynn, Joe wants me to kiss you after you're dead. And can I do that? And she turned around and said, only if it's French. So we did the scene, and she really gave me tongue, even though she was dead. It was a great kiss. And after we're done, they say cut, and she gets up and she says, wow, Bill's a really good kisser. And she looked at me and winked, and I was like, Lynn, you gave me that. Thank you.
I can't imagine how kind of uncomfortable that has to be. I can understand if her character is supposed to be live at that time, she has someone to interact. There's interactivity, but then you're just kind of like tonguing her gums trying to get those teeth open or something. It just sounds so uncomfortable.
She's going to be completely still, her head thrown back, her eyes wide open. So these are little touches we try to put in these indie films, and that's why it's really frustrating sometimes if people will compare us doing a movie like this to the Avengers, and they do.
It's different. It's a different type of film.
As the Avengers. Well, no, it's like it's a different thing. But because it's a tab world, and you can have the Avengers on one tab and this movie on another, it's easy to go back and forth and go, oh, this doesn't look as good.
It would be like comparing Alf to Downton Abbey.
Which you can do now on two separate tabs.
It's like what you got an alien puppet, and then you have prim and proper, early 1900s aristocracy. Yes, they are comparably the same on some level. They have to do with a family.
We don't do nuance anymore. Like, there seem to be only two things: that it was awesome or it sucked. Those are the two reactions to films. And there's nothing in between. That was awesome or that sucked.
Yeah. That predisposition for everything needing to be perfect and grand and epic, or else it's just not worth your time, I think is something I think Disney is kind of ruined for everything right now.
Yeah.
From Star Wars to Marvel.
I'm a big Disney fan, but I agree, yeah. And why even try to do effects in an indie film anymore? Because no matter what you do, no matter how good it is, even something as simple as a muzzle blast, people will freeze frame it, find the flaw, and they'll tweet out that frame as a GIF. I've seen it happen because they're just looking for what's wrong.
Because they also strive for that clout too. Like, oh, look what I found. Now look how many people like and retweet it. That's great, but what exactly is that doing for your soul? Nothing.
Nothing, but that question is never even asked. What you just asked, it's never even asked, yeah. So that's why I'm not, I don't even care really if effects are cheesy in the horror film, because at this point we all know how the trick is done. we all know that it's not real, and we can probably tell you 10 ways it could be done. So just chop the hand off. You know, if it's a rubber hand, just look at it and scream and throw it out of the frame.
Mm-hmm.
People will either go with it or they won't. But I can't anymore try to, you know, satisfy fans who are used to Disney effects with our effects.
I'm trying to think of the last film I saw with horror effects that didn't look good. I really can't think of any, because you would have to really try to make a horror film look so bad that I'd be like, this is terrible. I mean, I can't. I know when I see a fake leg, I know it's a fake leg, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not tearing.
Right, you knew it was a fake leg anyway.
Yeah, I'm not writing for MST3K.
Right.
Just
although it's tempting to do that.
Yeah. Enjoy the moment.
Evil Dead is just the camera moving through the woods a lot, really fast.
Yeah.
And children shouldn't play with dead things. The makeup's not great, but it's really creepy.
I watched the trailer for that after I haven't seen it since the 80s, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that used to be one of my favorite films as a kid. Looking back at it now, it's like, if I saw this today without having seen it before, I would have probably been like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And then you could feel that prejudice was built up because of how we view films today.
The original Night Stalker, the TV movie.
Yes.
Which I loved dearly and loved as a kid, and you know, so cheesy today. So I don't know. Again, it's just it's the snarkiness and that everything's ironic. You can't just accept the thing on its own terms. I don't know.
I totally agree. I mean, I don't know if we'll see great films like Night of the Creeps anymore. Something that there's an in-joke in there, but it's also a good horror film, and it's also a humorous film. And Tom Atkins was great. You could stick Tom Atkins in everything, and I would still watch it because I know I'm going to get a good performance. I'll watch anything with Bill Mosley, or I'll watch anything with you because I know I'm going to get a good performance. If everything else about it is just low effort, I can put all that aside and I can enjoy who I'm watching.
There are people who are still trying to do it. Mark Savage, who did Stress to Kill, he's got a script called Circus of Dread. Both he and I are really into the exhibition of human oddities, you know, the old freak shows.
Yeah.
And so there's a script which is about a guy whose brother is a human oddity, and he sells him. And it haunts him all his life. He becomes a criminal, and he's haunted all his life. He's sold him to this underground circus where freaks perform for ultra-rich people. And so he, my character, the tagline is, to save a monster, he became one. He has surgery on himself so that he will become himself a human oddity, a freak, so he can go underground and try to rescue his brother. It's a story of redemption.
That does sound very interesting.
That's good
would
stuff.
Actually like.
So there are people who are trying to still do soulful stuff combined with horror.
There was I had been working on a script for a long time that involved circus people since like just 20 miles south of me is Gibsonton, where all the circus freaks are retired to. And the film I wrote, I wanted to set it in Gibsonton about a guy that was trying to save the freaks and the children of the circus freaks from someone that was trying to take all the land and repurpose it for whatever it was. I think it was high-rise stuff or luxury housing or something like that. But, you know, when I go back and I read the script, I'm like, this is not very good. But I would like someone to address, you know, the retired freak show people and how they live and how they need that community to stay there. Because the encroaching area, in reality, it's getting so built up that the Gibsonton is starting to lose its identity as the circus town. And one day, eventually, you're going to drive through there and you're never going to know that this huge piece of American history used to be there. It's going to be gone. And I'm hoping someone with more talent than me will eventually address that in film form.
I hope you'll go back and keep working on that. That's a great project.
I'll explain a little bit because the story was there's a former circus performer who makes his living by telling fake fortunes, and he's a fraud psychic. And his ex-wife has gone missing, and he doesn't know where she's gone, but the both of them together, they owned a large chunk of land. And the missing wife's father wants that land because he just wants to take it over. So he works with a disgraced journalist to try to figure out what happened. And in the process, the villain starts killing off the prominent freaks. And there's also a school where the freak children are also taught just their basic stuff without being ostracized, you know. And they have a school there. And I was going to have a strong man played by a really great stuntman I know. And just eventually he finds out that the wife is actually alive, but she's working with the husband or her father to try to take the land because she's just a bitch. So there was going to be redemption on the part of the two leads. I was trying to get all that, hit all those check marks for, you know, diversity and everything else. And when I went back, I was like, I don't feel that I was true to myself because I was so worried about appealing to what everyone wants to appeal to now. You have to hit all those check marks. And I saw that as a flaw in my script, that I was trying too hard to appease everybody to get mass appeal. And I was like, it's just garbage. The basic story is fine, but trying to make characters a checkmark thing ruins it completely.
Todd Browning's Freaks killed his career, but it's probably the best thing he ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do it. I saw that movie at the Egyptian in LA on the big screen, and people were even today, like it was 4 years ago, they were not comfortable with it.
Yeah, so, some of those deformities on those people, it's very hard. But I think when people find it hard to watch, it's because they can feel how difficult life would have been for them, especially back then. Mm-hmm. They don't have the accommodations that they would today, and I could only imagine what being like that back then, how difficult that could have been.
Yes.
To wrap this up, I'm sorry I kept you on for so long. It's just it's
it's
not very
often
that
Thank you.
It's not very often I can get that kind of banter back and forth. I've really enjoyed it. When and where will people be able to see Handy Dandy's Little Murderous Adventure?
You probably know more about that than me. I guess I sent you the press release.
Yes, it is. It's coming out this month. Let me see exactly where.
It's going to run in LA in October, and then I think it's going to all the platforms on Halloween. Could that be right? That's what I was originally told was Halloween. Maybe it's a little earlier than Halloween, but I know they wanted it out by Halloween.
There's going to be 2 screenings in LA on the 18th and 19th of this month, and then it'll be on demand and DVD on November 5th.
Yes. Okay, great. That sounds fantastic. And I would encourage fans of horror to watch it and pick out the tropes. That would be my drinking game. If this were a drinking game or a candy game, if you don't drink, like take an M&M every time you see a trope.
If you could guess,
trope-filled movies, right? I mean, there's something to be said for that because it's like, yes, this is what this genre is. It's of course you're watching an old Jennifer Aniston rom-com. You're like, yep. And I know they'll enjoy Mosley's performance because Mosley's always great. He brings it, and I hope they'll enjoy mine too.
If you could guess, how many tropes would you say are in this film?
Oh my God, more M&Ms than I could eat in a sitting.
It would be you'd be very full by the end of it, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think fans will dig it. Come to it with the spirit of loving horror, and it's kind of an homage back to 80s type movies, and yeah, just go with it.